In this video, I'm going to show you how you can become a millionaire using real estate in very simple and easy steps. And honestly, it's going to take a lot less properties and a lot less work than you probably thought. Step one is we need to determine what type of property are we going to use as our investment vehicle. Right here we have single family. This is just a one house type of deal where you're just buying one property at a time. Here we have SMF, small multifamily. This is usually a duplex, quad, even a little bit bigger than that. And then lastly, we have large multifamily. These are going to be bigger deals. I would say let's steer clear of the large multifamily, and then let's table for right now small multifamily and focus only on single family. I think single family is the easiest vehicle for someone to get a loan on, to fill up from a resident standpoint, and this is going to be the one we're going to focus on, is just right here, single family residential. Now that we know we're going with single family, we've got to look at the different types of strategies that are out there, right? So what could we do with this property? We could buy and hold, we could flip, generate some pretty good cash right off the bat, we could wholesale, or we could even owner finance. So there's a lot of different options that you can get into with single family residential, but for our purposes, what we're looking at is we're looking at long-term wealth. So we don't really want to do anything except buy and hold. Now that we know we're going to buy a single family, now that we know the strategy is buy and hold that single family property, now how do we actually build wealth with this strategy? Well, there's 5 ways at least. We have appreciation. Most of the time, these property values are going to increase over time. And we're not talking about owning this for like 6 or 12 months. We're looking long-term wealth building. So appreciation. We also have loan pay down. Your resident is going to pay this mortgage down over time. You also have cash flow. This is something that a lot of investors look for. However, we can't get fixated on cash flow. What we need to get fixated on is long-term wealth creation. Next, you have value add. Most of the time, you're going to buy these properties below market value. You're going to fix them up. You're going to put money into them. And then the repaired value is going to be more than what you have in that property. So you're adding value right away to the property. And then lastly, we have depreciation. And depreciation, just great tax benefits from owning rental properties. These are the 5 ways that you build wealth. And now really we need to decide, well, how many properties do we need to buy to become a millionaire? And I can promise you it's less than you think. Now we need to look at an example of how you're going to do this. So I want to show you just a perfect example of the types of houses you should buy. I'm thinking the ARV, after repair value, should be around $150,000. Now you may say, well, I'm in California, Spencer, I can't buy that. Well, that's okay. There's plenty of opportunities in the Midwest and the Southeast. You can find properties that are around $150,000 ARV, and they're usually in Class C neighborhoods, good working class neighborhoods. So $150,000. What we want to do is we want to aim for buying this around $80K, but it's going to need some work. So it's probably going to need about $20,000 worth of work, which puts you in at $100,000 plus closing costs, $5K. You've got $105,000 into this property. What I am looking for, now this is just an example, I'm looking to be in no more than 70% of ARV. If I can get in at 70% of ARV, most of the time you're going to find hard money lenders, private lenders. You're going to have people who are willing to loan on that, even the construction cost. You can borrow not only the $80,000 to buy the property, but then you can borrow the $20,000 to put into the property. And so you really don't need a lot to come to the table and purchase this property, buy it. So I want to be all in 70% of ARV. And then you know what I want to do? I want to rent this property for $1,300 a month. This is how much I think I can get in a really good, solid Class C neighborhood with a great house that's been remodeled. And I'm thinking probably a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house, maybe 1,500 square feet, maybe 2,000 square feet. This would be a perfect first investment for you. This $1,300 is great. Unfortunately, there are expenses we have to account for, so we have to think about things like a mortgage. So a mortgage, $500 on the amount that we borrowed, which was right around $105,000. Taxes and insurance is going to be another $200 gone. Maintenance, I'm going to say, is around $150. That's 10%. May even go a little bit over that. Just kind of depends on the house, depends on the living situation of the residents. But if I'm looking at this total, this is $850 of expenses every year, which is going to leave you with $450. However, this is without property management. If you want property management, that's going to be about 10%. It's really going to leave you with $300 of cash flow every month. Now, $300 of cash flow every month doesn't sound like a lot, but what we want to do is once we feel good about these numbers, we want to go and do this again in maybe 12 months, maybe a little bit less than a year, and then we want to do it again. Ultimately, we want to be thinking about buying 5 of these types of rentals, because then if you have $300 a month times 5, you're talking about $1,500 a month. Cash flow annually, that's $18,000 cash flow. So this is only really one way that you create wealth with real estate. Now let's look at the other ways. Now we're back to this one house right here, and we've already seen how this is going to kick off $18,000 a year in cash flow when it's multiplied times 5. But what are the other ways? Well, we've already mentioned them. So you're going to get appreciation, depreciation, loan pay down. Add to that the cash flow. With these 5 properties, you have the foundation to become a millionaire. Now, it only takes 5 properties. That's probably less than what you thought. However, it may take you a little bit longer than you imagine, because you need to be thinking at least 15 years down the road. This is how appreciation works to your benefit, loan pay down, all of these things start to compound. And so if you're really short-sighted and say, well, I want to become a millionaire in 12 months, guess what? That's not going to happen. It takes a long time. However, this is the simplest and easiest path to that. But you know what? What's going to happen is more than likely when you own these properties for 15 years, you're probably going to add more. You may even get into maybe commercial, multifamily. There's all kinds of things that will happen along your real estate journey, maybe even help you become a millionaire sooner than you imagined. But if you just held these 5 properties over the course of 15, 20 years, guess what? You are building wealth, and it's going to be amazing because you're going to wake up and you're going to have $1 million worth of net worth. And this is how you do it, as simply and easy as possible. So this is the strategy to become a millionaire. However, you really have to buy right. You have to know exactly where you're buying, what you're buying. And so if you want to learn from my mistakes, I learned over 20 years exactly how to buy real estate that makes you money. So if you want to learn from my mistakes, you want to learn from my experience, go ahead and watch this video right here.